Very good.
Nobody likes the front row somehow.
Why are students so shy?
Please explain. That is probably a Malaysian culture we can't get rid of.
That's it. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in so you can actually see who's here.
Kita pun tolong zoom sikit.
Well, let me start with the other side first.
Okay.
This is Professor Shrish Chaudhry.
Hi.
And this is actually his class. This is a class in communication studies. So, whoops. Now, I think I pressed. Ramesh, would you come up here? Ramesh? Or somebody? Yeah. I pressed the wrong button. Let me get back into my scan mode, my zoom. Okay, good.
The one which we discussed. She had online. It's okay. It's online.
No, I think you stay here, okay?
Sir?
Here, it's not. Okay. Yeah, stay there. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Will people just say their names? And now, are you all undergraduate students?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you all have majors?
Yes.
Okay. So say your name, say your major, maybe say what part of India you're from.
Okay. Hi, I'm Sham. My major is development studies, and I'm from Chennai.
Hi, I'm Aprajita. I'm majoring in development studies. I'm from Madurai.
Hi, I'm Sona. I'm majoring in English studies and I'm from Kerala.
Hi, I'm Apurva. I'm majoring in development studies and I'm from Punjab.
Whoops.
Boleh zoom lagi nampak 5 orang. I don't see Pulpa. Who's Pulpa?
Okay, next.
Hi, I'm Apurva again.
Which one is Pulpa?
Stop your Colgate.
Apurva.
Hi, I'm Apurva.
Okay, we didn't see your face just now. We just heard your voice.
Right. And I'm majoring in development studies.
Hi, I'm Aditi. I'm also majoring in development studies and I'm from Mumbai. I'm Urmila. I'm also majoring in development studies. I'm from Kerala.
And I'm Yashaswini, also from development studies, and I'm from Chennai.
Let's see if I further go over. I need to go this way. That's me at the end there. So did everyone introduce over here?
Yes.
Great. So we have how many students up in front here? Seven. And we have some more students on the other side of the camera, and they may step in later in the event, but for now, these are our 7 communicators. So now, can your students introduce themselves?
Yeah, they can. Can we start from there?
Hi, I'm Shafika. My major is environmental engineering. I'm from Malaya.
Okay.
Hello, hi, I'm Rauda. My major is environmental engineering. I'm from Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Okay.
Hello, hi, I'm Fakria Ayuni. I'm also majoring in environmental engineering. I'm come from Sabah.
Oh, Sabah,
Malaysia.
Okay, right up there.
I'm Najwa. I'm majoring in industrial design.
ITM.
Industrial design.
My name is Mark. I'm just like him. Okay, I'm from
We please speak a little louder. We didn't quite hear you. The young man in the back.
Ammar, I told you.
My name is Ammar. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm from Shala, Selangor. I'm graduated from UITM. Majoring in industrial design. Product
Wonderful.
design. Can you?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Great. So one of the, go ahead.
We didn't introduce ourselves. You didn't introduce yourselves.
Yes, I am Dr. Eric Miller. My original home was New York City, but I've moved here to Chennai, and I'm a guest faculty member here sometimes. And I've been using video conferencing for 20 years to help organize seminars and especially other educational uses of video conferencing. And even my PhD was about video conferencing. So I really love video conferencing. And Dr. Farida?
Okay, hi. I'm Farida. Actually, I'm teaching in the Faculty of Languages and Linguistics. My major actually is in TESOL, teaching of English. But I've moved on to social linguistics as well as e-culture. I'm heading now the chair of the Asia Pacific Advanced Network e-culture working group. So in Malaysia, we have the same thing, but it is under the Malaysian Research and Education Network, MyRAN. So these are the kind of things that I'm trying to bring in Malaysia, especially on my campus. But as you can see, it's not that easy to get students to participate, so we have to have more road shows, I think. And I'm thinking that if it works, probably we should do from different universities in Malaysia with your university. It'll be fun as well.
Wonderful. Just to explain to the students here regarding APAN, Asia Pacific Advanced Network, all over the world, a new generation of the internet is coming in, which is many, many, many times faster than the regular internet. So at the moment, this new internet is especially used by universities such as the IIT and University of Malaysia. But it will be spreading, and one of the aspects of it is that it enables very high-quality video conferencing, together with sharing of computer graphics, and we could be watching a video recording together, multimedia, inside of a video conference with any number of partners. So we're very honored and lucky to be video conferencing with you, Dr. Farida, because you are a leader in this field of bringing technology in and applying it for the humanities. You know, most of the application is for the scientists, but slowly as humanities people, we're saying we want to join the fun also. So
we're going to take over. We're going to take over because, you know, we've been doing cyber performance. We've done one in New Delhi. We had one cyber performance last year. New Delhi, we had, let me see, Barcelona, we had Salvador, and a Korean team, okay, dancing, and we said live music, live performance in New Delhi. But the next one we're going to do is actually in Korea in August. Join us through the video conferencing if you want, but we're going to have two teams. Barcelona, Salvador, Korea is one team, and then the other team is going to be Malaysia, Fiji, Indonesia, and Korea again. So, you know, Eric, do join us, you know, through video conferencing or something. Right.
Now, how do you handle the delay? It seems even in a very high quality system like we're using now, we're sending a sound signal, we're sending a visual signal, and you're only getting it maybe a half second later.
Right.
And then if you and then if you send the signal back, that's another half second. So this is one difference between physically present communication and video conference, that there's this time lag, which I'm sure will disappear, because in a telephone call now, there's no lag. Right. Usually in a telephone call to the other side of the world, there's no lag. But still in video conferencing, because of the huge amount of bandwidth that's necessary to transmit visual images, there is this lag. So while we have to deal with this lag, how do you deal with it in a performance situation when musicians and dancers are trying to coordinate with each other?
One, a lot of coordination. Number two, lots of testing. And number three, I'm very lucky and honored. I have Professor Gu from KAIST, university. He's the one who handles the technology part. I do only the culture and the coordination. But I think the last time that we did it, I think it was that he would actually time Salvador's video will come in a few seconds earlier, and Brazil will come in a bit later. So he does the coordination, and he will sort of synchronize, and then it will be shown on the screen. But the same thing we send back to the original countries. So all participating countries will get the same vision at the end of the day.
But anyway, students, be aware that a weakness of this type of communication at the moment is this delay. And studies have been shown that say that often people feel the people on the other end have a neurological problem because they're waiting a second or two, or maybe they're angry at us because they're not replying. You know, if you're talking to someone and they don't reply for a second or two, we think maybe they're angry at us. But it's not the case, of course, in a video conference. So we have to be aware of the limitations of the system and overcome them. Okay, so now of all the subjects that we proposed for discussion today, which were the most interesting to the people on your side, Dr. Farida?
What do you think? Which one do you like, the language or the environmental one? The language, or not the environmental? Oh, they prefer the language one. I thought the environment was fun. What do you think? Over there, what do you think? What do you like?
The environmental.
Well, maybe they want to start with the environment.
Okay, can we do that? I mean, your environmental major, you should like that.
And it turns out that a student told me recently that there's actually a word in Hindi for passing things down within a family. You know, from the older child to the younger child to the younger, so that everything is used again and again in a family situation. I guess this is especially important when there are big families. Are there still big families in Malaysia there?
Yeah, sure.
Big families all over Malaysia.
So there's still a lot of passing things down then, from older children to younger children?
Yes,
Okay, so that's kind of recycling within the home, within the family. What other types of recycling and sustainability were you thinking about?
From the elders to the youngest one.
So in Malaysia, usually we are doing the recycling between the family members. So if the elders have grown bigger, then their stuff will be given to the younger sister or younger brother, and so on.
Those are clothes, right?
Yeah,
what other things?
Like other thing,
the book,
yeah,
the textbook,
and
Magazine maybe.
the textbook, usually we also are using it by generation. So from the eldest to the youngest.
This is possible. Sorry, this is possible because they go to government schools. All of them go to the syllabus. Yeah, the syllabus are the same for say 5-6 years, and then they change. Okay. All right. And how about you over there?
So we have similar practices of handing down clothes and textbooks, and most of us also go to a particular syllabus school, so the syllabus remains the same. But in addition, we also do a lot of saving of plastic bags and bottles, and just reusing them again and again, so we don't keep throwing them out and adding to our like plastic garbage, I guess.
It's almost a culture of wearing things down as far as they go. Even with electronics, it's very common to have cars which are 10 years old and almost a family car that you've grown up with before you actually sell it because it won't work anymore.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I think that's common actually. Yes.
So we also have recycling like plastic bottle, can, cardboard, and electronic device. We will recycle it first and use it again in our house. But if we think that the material that cannot be used anymore, so we will just send it to the recycle place. So
yang lain cakap lah, janganlah bagi seorang cakap. I'm saying that everybody must speak, not just listen, right?
Yeah, but you know, we were saying just before we made the connection that here in India, I think maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, people were thinking of in terms of catching up to the Western lifestyle of having everything new. But in the last 5 years or so, in the last 2 years, there's been this growing realization that that it will just be too damaging to the world environment to try to live like that. And also because of running out of oil, that it's not possible to live like that. So I was asking the students here if they're disappointed that it seems we're not heading toward a world in where we get everything new. How do you feel about that? Would you like to have everything new, if you could? I guess I'm addressing this both to you and to them.
Yeah. Answer away. My children used to complain, you know, I always get hand-me-downs. Okay, but now they're bigger than understand how hand-me-downs are actually useful in recycling, which they didn't understand. But we just came back from Japan. We went to Harajuku, a famous place where people wear nice clothes, different weird kind of clothes, you know. But along one road was full of recycled clothes. And the shops are really nice, you see. So even not just in America, but other places, Malaysia is catching up, where they sell, you know, used clothes, good condition ones. So it is not something to be shy of, that I bought something from a treasure chest. Because, you know, it's still good, it's just that I'm so used to it, I want to buy a new thing, a new dress. My wardrobe is all full, so I like to share it with somebody. You know, rather than throw it and become a wreck, let somebody else be happy, wear it and enjoy it. So, you know, even in Japan, this recycling of clothes, you know, is coming up now. And believe me, you know, it's going to take up everywhere, okay? Comments?
Yeah, like in India, a while back, wearing hand-me-downs was linked to not being developed enough. But now it's a change in perception. So it's a responsible thing to do. It's a sustainable practice and it's being recognized as such.
Right, good. I mean, the old tradition is, you know, it's kind of shameful that you have to wear somebody else's clothes. But nowadays, I think it's a new way of thinking, don't you think? I mean, if it's still good, why do I have to go and buy a brand new one? And if I can't afford a real Versace, if I can get somebody at something at second hand is still Versace, why not? Isn't it? All right, so I have my piece. So you guys should start discussing. Probably, Eric, probably we can sort of zoom back the faces a bit so that we can see all 7 faces at one go.
Well, and I was going to ask your side to zoom in so we could see your faces a little clearer. Because I really feel that in a video conference, many times people say it's too cold. And I'll zoom out a little bit. But my feeling is that if if we get all this information where we do see everybody, you do see us, but we're so small that you don't get much emotion from us. You see?
Very nice. Yeah. Is that okay? So we zoom in as much as we could.
Yes, that's much better on your side, and I'll leave it like this for a little bit, but then once we get talking, I want to zoom in on our side so you can actually see the facial expression on the speaker. Well, your students there who are doing environmental academic work, do you study recycling methods, or what are you actually studying?
Actually, we're studying about a design such as treatment plant, sanitary landfill, how to design it. It's more technical work actually.
We also study how to manage our solid waste, our wastewater, how we treat the wastewater before we release the wastewater to the river or sea. And also, we also learned the structural subject, like the civil engineer learn for the basic calculation and for the basic design of structural building. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Okay, one of our students wants to ask something. Go ahead.
I want to know if Malaysia faces any water shortage or any water supply problems.
Water supply. It's very rarely, isn't it? Because
what do you mean by the water supply problem?
Water supply problem.
Or if you have any water shortages.
Oh,
no.
We think of Malaysia as a very moist and lush place with a lot of jungles and a lot of rain, because we see, we see pictures, we see video recordings that you have many beautiful flowers and trees. But is there concern about water shortage? What's the situation?
We don't have that problem actually. Maybe because our weather is humid and the rainfall is the rainfall rate is high, so the shortage of water supply is very rarely. Maybe because of some technical problem, the water, the dam problems or the leakage of the pipes, so some maintenance activities. So the sources of the water need to
the sources of the water is still a lot in Malaysia, but we have some problem in the delivering it. Means the infrastructure. But usually we don't have that kind of problem. We have leakage of water, leaking of pipeline.
Maybe the maintenance is only one day, maybe one
lack
day
of maintenance.
But we do have the flooding problem.
Yeah. Flooding. Because too much rainfall, too much rainfall. So
on average, we have about 80 inches of rain, at least, in Malaysia. 80 inches a year. The east coast part of West Malaysia always will have banjir, flooding. During the monsoon season, which is between October to January. Right? And also sometimes in the southern part of West Malaysia, in Johor, which is closest to Singapore, right? And then, but we have another part of Malaysia which is East Malaysia, right? Which is Sabah and Sarawak. So we don't have problems in terms of drought, but we have sometimes too much water. But most of the year is quite alright. Okay, right.
So is Malaysia indeed largely jungle?
Not really, only maybe in Pahang, like East Malaysia, one of the states in East Malacca, Malaysia, sorry, called Pahang. There's a lot of jungle there, but apart from that, we do not have really big jungles.
It's funny because each country has a certain public image, maybe in part because of the tourism publicity, and certainly the image that I have of Malaysia is beautiful birds and a lot of jungle.
Yeah, maybe they want to highlight the jungle part of Malaysia.
Go ahead.
So here, in some places, we do have water shortages. For example, in the state of Tamil Nadu, the government has implemented rainwater harvesting structures where you build few structures in households and industries to preserve and reuse rainwater. So that's how it is here.
it's almost a necessary part of any new building design.
Yes, every building has to be constructed so that rainwater comes down, and now there's talk of even doing more, digging holes so that the water is saved.
So we collect the water when there is monsoon and we use it during the dry times.
Actually, we are using rainwater harvesting to avoid any flooding, any overcapacity of rainfall.
And there's also the issue here that a lot of private companies are taking water from the rivers and making, bottled water because many people are afraid to drink the tap water. In Malaysia, are people drinking only bottled water, or are you drinking water that also comes from the tap?
Also come from the tap.
But we have to boil.
You boil it.
Yeah. But there is chlorine in the water to clean it first.
Filter first.
Yeah, they're all filtered at the reservoir. Yeah, you know the system. You better tell them what happens.
Okay, actually from the reservoir there will be a filtration process. Then they will deliver it to our home, and then at our home we also will use one of a filter. There is different type of filter. Depends on the price. The expensive one much be better. Okay, so they will filter it, and then some of the filter you can just take the water and drink it.
Yeah.
But some of the filter you need to boil it again. So usually people will boil it first and then they will drink it.
Yeah. But in general, the water is clean. Yeah.
Yeah, the water is not very clean here, but even we filter the tap water and boil it, and then we drink it and use it for cooking, etc.
Yeah.
But it seems not many people here seem to have time to boil water.
So we mostly prefer bottled waters and processed waters.
Can I ask them a slightly?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this isn't completely related to environment, but I was wondering if the use of homeopathic medicine in Ayurveda is prominent in Malaysia. As in, is it a recognized form of medicine?
Maybe they won't call it Ayurvedic, but are there traditions of using plants, flowers, herbs for medicinal purposes?
Well, we have the local ones. The girls can tell you about it. But the Ayurveda, okay, it's just starting in Kuala Lumpur. We have some centers doing the Indian way of doing it. But we have Balinese, we have our own Malay, right? And the girls can tell you about pantang larang after the birth or something. The Malay tradition. Okay, the Malay tradition. Because we're not married, so they don't know. So for the Malay tradition, there are ways of using traditional herbs for the mother who has given birth. Okay, and they will use it for the first 40 days. The Chinese also will have their own herbs that they will boil and drink for the new mother. And the Indians also will have a special, I think it's tamarind rice, a special herbs that they will eat. I think you're familiar with that. So you won't be surprised that some Malays do a little bit of the Indian way, a little bit of the Chinese way, because we are, we are all sort of all meshed up in a sense that we take a bit of everything. But originally, most of the ethnic groups have their own ways of doing it. In Sabah and Sarawak, in East Malaysia, they have also their herbs and their ways of boiling certain leaves and certain barks, to become a drink for all sorts of illnesses, not just after birth. Okay, so I'm sure you have it there as well.
Yeah,
Quite a bit.
yeah. We have.
And I'm sure your tribal people have their own traditions also.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. In Malaysia, we are actually conducting a lot of research. Universities are doing a lot of research now, looking at which tribes use certain herbs, and then they try to see whether it can be used for certain kind of illness. Okay, so that's kind of big also here. Yeah. indigenous knowledge.
But for most popular use, is it still allopathy, which is the most common?
Allopathy is scientific medicine?
No, Western medicine.
Western, okay.
Oh yeah. Western medicine
Yeah.
is the first sought out now among the younger generation. Even those 30 and above, no, 30 and below, is it? 35 and below. Okay, more Western way of doing it. But what's interesting is as they grow older, suddenly they realize, oh, traditional is better. So, it's a mix. It's a mix. When you're on the go, the Western one is faster. Pill poppers are easier, isn't it? But after that, you have time, you like to mix both. In fact, some of the doctors here do encourage you, if you could sort of do a little bit of homeopathy, a little bit of Western medicine, if it doesn't, clash, they do encourage that. Okay?
For my
Well,
opinion, I think that new modern lifestyle, they prefer to choose a more modern medicine, like go to the doctor and just get the medicine and you can eat. you will have suddenly
Healthy.
because we are lack of time. No time to boil the herbs or everything because it is time
consuming time.
time consuming. So with new modern style, they are prefer to use they are prefer to go to the doctor actually. For me.
But I think each different type of medicine has different applications. There are some things that Western medicine is good for. There are other things that flowers and herbs are good for. So it depends on what the condition is, I think. Any other?
Let's take another topic.
Okay, let's go on to some language topic now. I'm trying to zoom across here. Yes. There, and other side.
Dr. Farida.
Good.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Right. Eric, my colleague, used a word scientific for the Western system of medicine. Do you think Asian systems of medicine are scientific or are they not? Well, I think they are as scientific as they can be.
Yes.
But I would like my students to come and share their views with you.
Yeah.
Would any one of you like to say anything about whether our systems are scientific?
Well, they have been tried over many, many years and they have worked. So, I think for the most part, it depends on how we define scientific. If we define it in Western terms, with a hypothesis and with proofs, probably not. But from a pure utilization point of view, Ayurveda has literature and has been very popular.
Or if you say that you experiment through trial and error, you discover something, is that less scientific? I don't think so.
No, but like Apurva said, a lot of the alternative medicine systems, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, all of them have written down the science behind it in various ways. But I think a lot of it is not accessible today because of language. There are so many languages across the country which have evolved over so many years. So not everyone can read and understand it. So we usually just turn to systems which are more easily accessible. Yeah.
So what do you think? Our local tradition, our local medicine, are they actually scientific as well? I'm asking my girls and up here, you're very quiet here. Not scientific or scientific? What does scientific mean? No. I think scientific just means if there's a system actually, isn't it? I'm sure, if you know the mixture and you keep to the certain amount, you mix this and that, you know that this leaf and that leaf, you don't mix it together because it causes you stomach ache or something. I think it is written, it is oral tradition. I think that's the way it is. Traditional herbs are actually passed on from one generation through oral tradition. And then they practice from generation to generation. But now I think because of modern medicine, Well, now they're testing whether our medicine will work just as well, or they can actually partner together, right? Work together with modern medicine. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I would rather go for herbs than chemicals, I think. What do you think?
Well, I think scientific means, to me, it means that the results can be tested and the results will be repeated. The opposite of scientific for me is doing it just because someone told me to do it, or just because my mother and father did it. If we just do things based on tradition without a scientific test, that's not scientific. But so how do you feel? Do you live your lives by scientific testing, or because it's the traditional thing to do, that's what your people in your community have always done?
The practices that we have were scientifically tested at a point of time when they were when they were popular, and they were tested and the results were written down. And now what we are using is just at least maybe our grandparents would know and understand what was written in those scriptures, and they know it, and we trust them to know it, and we follow it. It is not a blind belief in that this leaf might cure it, but
also it's a bit of a mix of both. We use, like, there are certain, like, common colds and your daily problems are usually we use our traditional medicines. Like, for example, when we have chicken pox, that's a particular a lot of us tend to use neem leaves, and that's a common tradition. Yeah.
And even
and turmeric, yeah.
For simple things like a bad throat, we usually have a bottle of honey in our rooms, all of us.
Or ginger.
Or ginger.
Come on. Kata lagi lah. They don't know the name of the Malay version of the neem leaf, but that's what we use here as well. When we have chicken pox, stick on it, and you take a bath and cool the whatever. Okay? Tak tahu daun tu. Daun bambu. Aduh, budak-budak ni. See, they're so modern, they don't even know it now.
Yeah, more about language. Go ahead.
We will also perhaps take some other students, and if anyone wants from.
Maybe let's have a few more minutes with this group, and then we'll switch. Okay. So, what about language?
I just have a very rather straightforward question about language. At least amongst our generation, most of us find that we're increasingly comfortable in English. We probably think in English, and definitely when we write, we're most comfortable when we're writing in English. But how does that work for you guys? Which is the language that you think expresses you the best?
Malay or English?
Our first language is Malay, of course, for you. But for professional use,
Profession.
for profession or for academic purposes, we use English. Because, like, for example, if you write a thesis in Malay, it can only be read in Malaysia, but if you do it in English, then you can go to other places, right? Because English is known all over the world. So I think that we are comfortable in both languages, but we tend to look at the context of using the language, when and where to use the language.
Okay. So the question is, some people will think more in English, some people will think more in Malay. I think that's what you're thinking, right? Okay. Yeah. So do you think more in Malay or in English?
Okay. For me, usually I will think in Malay because it seems much more easier for me. Because it's our mother language. So thinking in Malay is much more better. But when we write up, we need to write in English. So sometimes we have some problem in convert it from Malay thinking to English writing.
How about you? Malay.
For me, also Malay, because what I know, in Indonesia, they are not allowed to use others' language, which is like they also got a Chinese race, so they are not allowed to use their language, their own language. So they're using Indonesian language. So it's easy to communicate between all over their countries. But then in Malaysia we are mixed, so we are for Indian and Chinese, they are allowed to use their own language, but then for conversation and communications we are prefer to use English because all of the races are well known about English. I mean, like, if not a little bit, we know a little bit to how to talk in English. So it's important for us to learn English nowadays because
But what do you actually do? Do you actually speak a lot of English in the faculty? Do you speak Malay more or English more? That's a simple question.
I think if I'm
not the policy, what do you do?
If I'm doing a conversation with other races, then we're talking in English. But then if I'm talking on my own races, like my son and my friends here, so we're talking Malay. We prefer to talk Malay.
I prefer talk to Malay with my Malay friends, my families, but with other races, my Chinese friends, my Indian friends, so I will speak in English so they can understand.
How about you?
Easily.
Amal?
Okay, for me, I prefer use in Malay because Malay is my mother tongue. Because I'm Malay, sometimes I feel stupid when I speak English. Actually, that's why because I love my language. Because I'm Malay. For others, maybe they say when they speak to other races, they speak in English. But for me, I prefer when speak in Malay, in my language. Even they are Chinese or India, because it's Malaysia. So why not? Why I want to speak in English? Because they're Malaysian. Malay is Malay's our national language. That's why I speak Malay. When there other race.
So you have to understand the Malaysian education system. The medium of instruction changed from English to Malay in the 1970s. Until today, our main medium of instruction is actually Malay, with some subjects being taught in English. At the university level, of course, we encourage them to use more English, but I think everybody in Malaysia can converse well and read and write also in Malay, which is the national language. Each of the ethnic groups will actually continue with their mother tongue. So the Chinese will have Mandarin in schools, but they speak at home different dialects: Hokkien, Hakka, Teochew, and Cantonese, and so on. The Indian, depending on what they are, where they come, the biggest group is, I think, those who speak Tamil, and then Malayalam, and then a small group of them speak actually Hindi, and we have also Sikh people here. So East Malaysia, we have more than 80 indigenous groups there. So they are multilingual, definitely. They speak English, they speak Malay. Malay is stronger than in English, I think, most of us here. But they have more than one or two tribal languages. So, the real sense of multilingualism is felt here. I would just say that being a Malay, I'm the one who's lost out. Because I can only speak Malay, I can speak only English. But others here, the Indians, the Chinese, the Ibans, the Sarawak people, the Dayaks, they all speak at least 4 languages. Okay? And I think it goes to you.
Yes.
Dr. Farida.
Yes.
I will come back to it, but right, Shirish. I will come back to it, but I would like to take some others among my students also to share their views. You know, we are a large and overpopulated country. Okay, so kindly bear with us. We'll have anyone who would make room for the others. There is some.
So you guys stand up. Thank you very much. You did a wonderful job. And if you have any more comments and questions, you can ask them down there.
Please. Mushkil, please come. Please come. Srinidhi, please come. Rajia, I want you to come, please. Very well.
General topic, your general knowledge. That is just like.
Well, Farida, while my students occupy the new seats, I'll try to answer your question, because a number of public documents and a number of public use of language in the last 50 years in India has tended towards English. So the generation of Indians, some of whom are here before you now, are increasingly getting alienated from their native languages, which was not the case with my generation of people, Indians, or with the generations before. I'm not suggesting that they don't know Tamil or Hindi or Malayalam, as you said, but the frequency of use of these languages in their lives, I guess, is also on decline. Now, whether it is so and why it is so, my students will answer you. Do you think we are using as much Indian languages today as English, or do we use more English, less Indian languages, unless you think English is also an Indian language, of course. Okay, Rituja, please introduce yourselves. Farida, my students, a new batch of students will introduce themselves. Please, begin with the other end.
Hi, I'm Urvi, and I'm doing my majors in development studies, and I'm from Kolkata.
Hi, I'm Srinidhi. I'm doing my major in English studies, and I'm from Cochin, Kerala. Hi, my name is Rituja, and I'm from Kolkata, and I'm also doing my major in English studies.
Hello, I'm Pushkal. I'm majoring in development studies. I'm from Mumbai.
Hi, I'm Razia Sultana. I'm doing my majors in English development studies, and I'm from Kerala.
Okay, so now Razia will begin the answer to your question, whether we use as much English as Malayalam, or more or less. Razia, please.
My case is extremely different because my parents are from two different states which is not where I am right now. So my mom is from Uttar Pradesh and my dad is from Tamil Nadu, but I stay in Kerala, which is another state. So in my home, I have to speak at least 3 languages, and usually I don't use English, at least in my home. But I should say that I had all my school syllabus studies, everything in English, and now if you ask me whether I'm comfortable with English or Malayalam or Urdu, which I speak in our home, I should say that I am much more comfortable in English rather than my own mother tongue, which is Urdu or Malayalam.
Okay. Would you like to?
Yes, I think to add to it, I learned Hindi until class 8th. After that, I switched to Sanskrit. I learned it for a couple of years, and then so as I was learning those languages, the way you think, you borrow a lot from those languages, but gradually as years went by, I think I switched to English. So that's how you think, and once you begin thinking in English, and it's much more difficult to go back to your mother tongue and converse on it.
I think we have a very peculiar thing in India where we tend to mix our mother tongue and an English. Like for example, Hindi and English will have an English. Like we'll have some words from Hindi and some words from English, and that's very typical to us. And it's very every language has that sort of language in us. And we are more comfortable conversing in that language, that English or Benglish or Malayalam and English. Manglish, yes. And we also have an Indian English that is very typical to Indians, how Indians directly translate from their mother tongue to English. And that's very peculiar to us.
I think we keep switching languages in the sense that when we are at school, we'll speak in English to the teachers, but when we are speaking to our friends, we'll speak in Hindi or our mother tongues. When we come back home with your parents, it's another language. So it's always changing. And even when you're thinking, when you're with your parents, you'll be thinking in one language. And when you go back to school, you'll start thinking in English. And the topics vary. At home, there are some particular things which you, like when you're talking about food, you'll maybe talk about it in your own mother tongue or something that you're comfortable in. But when you go back to school, you'll have to switch, and it's kind of difficult, especially with food. It's very difficult to translate in English and speak about it. And when we see it on serials, it's kind of, oh, this is called this in English, and it's kind of weird. Yeah.
How many languages do you speak? How many languages do you speak?
I speak 4 languages.
Which are?
I speak Hindi, Gujarati, Bengali, and English, and a little bit of French.
So you think in 4 languages, is it?
Yeah. I think in 3 languages, but I can't think in Bengali. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. You learned Bengali last?
No, I was born in one state, Bengal, but I belong to another state. So, Gujarat. So I learned Bengali as my 3rd language in school. Learned to write and.
Urvi, right? Yeah.
Interesting.
Hello, Farida.
Yes.
Urvi's parents moved from west coast of India to the east coast. It's like in Eric's country, somebody going from San Francisco to New York. You know, in her case, she has got a wider exposure to languages than possibly her parents had when they were younger. Can your students join us in answering a question? You know, we in India have more and more books and quote-unquote scientific documents and a whole lot of public document and debates and books happening in English, not so much in many Indian languages. Do you get books on current issues, recent topics of interest to you in Malay or more in English?
We do have books that in Malay, but mostly all the books, especially academic books, we have it in English. Since for the academic here, educational program here, we are doing in English, so all the academic books will be in English. But for fiction books, usually we have Malay language book, Chinese language book, or Indian language book.
Novels. Of late, we've been for the past 5 years, I think. Suddenly, there's a growth of romantic novels in Malay. Probably to replace Mills and Boon, I don't know. But our like them, you know, they are becoming quite rich in writing nice novels in Malay. So we have young Malay girls turning to Malay novels. Chinese girls, I think Chinese readers get books from Hong Kong and China, not a problem. We have also our own magazine in Malay, in English, in Tamil. But we do have a lot of English magazines as well. But I think we have a handful of local writers who write in English. And English is more like a first language to them. For me, I'm more a bilingual, Malay and English. But if you ask me, I think more in English than I can think in Malay. So my Malay is quite rotten actually, if I have to speak in formal Malay. But I think their Malay, I think, is a lot better than mine, going through the Malay medium school. Your Malay is better than English, is it? Do you think? Of course, you know. We do a lot of code switching as well. So maybe that's a nice topic if we can join, for example, some examples that we have of English words being used in the Malay version. For example, you call it Manglish, okay, which is not standard English, but you have macam jalan-jalan. What is the word that you use twice? Duplication. Duplication is a feature of Malay language. So we say we'd like to go together, sama-sama. So sama-sama means together, but they shorten it and say together. So if you know that word, then you are Malaysian. Okay. And some other words do you have?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can give examples from Bengali.
Yeah.
We also say that. We say that in many Asian languages, Farida, in many Asian languages, we have, this feature of duplication. We go together. We live together. We study together. Except that we don't die together. Perhaps. And in many Indian languages, both belonging to Dravidian and to the so-called Aryan families, we have that. But I was also interested in drawing your attention to another feature. All my students can speak almost as fluently in their mother tongue as they can in English, but I'm not sure whether they can write as well in their mother tongue as they can in English. Would you like to answer that?
Not true. Like most of us can write in our mother tongue.
Okay.
Like we have studied.
I'm sorry I gave you the wrong picture.
No, it's not wrong.
Then, yes, Srini, please. Can you join this? Can you tell Farida?
Yeah. My mother tongue is Malayalam. I've never learned to read and write Malayalam. I can speak though, except I know how to read and write Hindi, Sanskrit, Konkani, Marathi, and English, and not Malayalam. And I'm not proud of it. I would love to learn Malayalam, but I don't know whether it's too late now. And the irony is that my mother is a Malayalam teacher, and she never got to teach me. So.
Yeah, even I can't write in Gujarati, even though both my parents can. And my mom doesn't speak English well, but she writes brilliantly in Gujarati. And even though I used to get Gujarati magazines at home, I never did learn. I can just pick a few letters here and there which are similar to Hindi, but that's it.
I think we learn the language we grow up in, the regional language from the place we grow up in. So even though our mother tongue is not some language, but if we grow up in a particular region, we learn the language of that region as our mother tongue. Like we as a second language or third language or something like that. So all of us should know like 2 languages minimum. One is regional and one is English, and to write and read as well. I think so, right?
Okay, let's check on that. My friend here, Pushkal, was raised in Bombay in a Hindi-speaking family or in another language-speaking family. Am I right?
Yes.
Can you write Marathi, Pushkal?
No. Actually, most of the students who grew up in Bombay, they have Marathi as part of their curriculum in school. But I studied in a central school. So I had the option of learning Hindi or Sanskrit, and I gave up Hindi long back, as I said in class 8. So, so I find it really difficult to. Even then, I used to struggle with Hindi, but it's difficult to write in.
I suggest let's look at some case studies, some actual words or phrases in English or in other languages, and see what is popular. I spent most of my life in the USA, and as you know, in the USA, we're generally very unskilled with language, in that most people like me, we know English, maybe we know a little Spanish, but generally in India, and I think in Asia in general, people are much more skilled at learning different languages and using different languages. But that aside, one expression in English that I never heard in America, which I often hear, is, please do the necessary. And I'm wondering if that represents an Indian idea or an Asian idea. So one thing I want to ask you in Malaysia, is this phrase also known in Malaysia, please do the necessary? It sort of means, to me it means, don't tell me all the details, but just take everything in a big package and work it out and solve it. And it reminds me of an episode from one of the epics where Hanuman has to find a certain flower on a mountain, and he can't find the flower he doesn't know, so he just brings the whole mountain. And he knows that later either he or someone else will sort it out and do the necessary. So what about that in Malaysia? Do you have either in Malay or in English a phrase like "please do the necessary"?
I think we don't use "please do the necessary" that much here, but we use a lot of "I want to go to the necessary room."
Uh-huh.
The necessary room, the toilet.
Oh. Okay. So that's a euphemism. A euphemism is when we don't want to come out and say something embarrassing, but we say it in an indirect way.
The phrase probably is used in written form in Malay, but in English we don't use that phrase to speak. We don't speak that phrase. Yeah. But in Malay formal writing, we always say that. I'm enclosing the documents for your kind attention, and please do the necessary. But that's formal Malay. But I just like to add about Malay language that you were talking about scripts. Yeah. Malay language is written in two types of writing. One, the Roman, the normal ABC, but the other one is using Arabic script, which we call Jawi. So these girls, I think, know Jawi by the script, by the alphabets because they read the Quran. But it doesn't mean that they can write in Jawi either. So yeah, the Chinese and Indians here can speak their own mother tongue, but many of them cannot write the characters in Chinese or writing the Tamil, the Indian script. So probably you're all better off than us here somehow. We tend to be more Romanized here. That's what I want to just clarify.
How much more time do we have, Eric?
We have about another 10 minutes. How about if I read off some English phrases, and if it's spoken in your area, kind of raise your hand a little bit, okay? The cat got out of the bag. That means do you have that? Yes, the secret got out. The secret was told. Don't jump to conclusions. You have it a little? Yes, you have that one. I cannot read your mind. Yes? You have it here? We can speak it here.
It's not a phrase. We just don't have a phrase. We just say it.
Well, these are phrases. These are expressions. What do you call it? Is this an idiom, an expression, a saw? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do people say that here?
No.
Don't put money does not grow on trees.
Yeah.
Yes?
That's like...
Yes. I think that's something mothers and fathers tell their children everywhere. Do not open that can of worms. No, that's not popular. I am turning over a new leaf.
Yeah.
Yes? A little bit? He is searching for something. He is leaving no stone left unturned. No? Never heard it? They sent me on a wild goose chase.
No.
A little bit? He's going out of the frying pan into the fire. Yes? No?
We have a Malay phrase for that.
What?
We have a Malay saying for that. Can one of you tell them? Translate literally what does it mean? Malay version.
We have this saying, if translated, it means that if you swallow...
No.
Kan, yang mak mati.
Tak. Yang buaya tu. Masuk lidah buaya.
Oh, masuk keluar mulut buaya.
Yeah. So, translate that. Out of the crocodile's mouth, you go into the tiger's mouth. So that's
Before we close, shall we talk about cultures?
Yes. Please introduce
Right, Farida. Dr. Farida.
Yes.
Before we close, shall we talk about our Asian cultures? They are changing. A lot of my students today don't know how to wear traditional dresses, don't know a lot of other things. They have instead acquired a lot of other new skills which make them global workers. I do not know whether I should feel happy or unhappy about that. How is the situation at your end?
Kerajaan pakai Jumaat, batik macam je lah. Okay. Start please for the men. Hari Jumaat.
Hari Khamis.
Jumaat baju Melayu.
Khamis my batik.
Baju batik. Okay, cakap. Here. Siapa am?
Please.
Friday.
For the government
workers.
Yes. On Friday, I'm not sure. On Friday or Thursday? Friday, yeah. That is Friday. The government servant, they should wear the traditional clothes. Costume. Something like baju kurung. Or the men, maybe they can use batik. That's one of traditional textile.
I think what he's trying to say is, even at the government level, it is instilled that on Thursdays you wear batik, which is a traditional craft, and on Fridays you wear traditional costumes. So Indians can wear their own traditional costume. The Chinese can wear their Cheongsam, and the Malays will wear baju kurung. Nobody's wearing baju kurung today, but I'm wearing batik here. Okay, right. So I think among us, for traditional, for celebrations, I think everybody dons their own traditional costume. For weddings, for official functions. So I think we are still keeping to
that culture.
They will use baju kurung. Yeah. Do you like wearing your traditional more than the modern clothes?
Yeah, I like it actually because it's more comfortable than. I like it to wear a traditional costume because it's more comfortable, because it's more bigger than modern, like wearing jeans, t-shirts. And if you are Malaysian culture, Malaysian weather is quite hot here. So if unfortunately we can't show you guys how baju kurung looks like, but it's more like sarung, more air can enter to your body. So it's quite cool if we wear baju kurung.
Tapi the question
Would you like to hear my students now, please?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Any one of you, please, on the subject of traditional dress.
We usually we do wear kurtis, and this is she's wearing a churidar and a salwar kameez. Stand up. She's wearing a kameez and a churidar. So basically she'd have a dupatta to make it traditional. Yeah. And when we go to marriages, it becomes very heavy, as in there is so much work on it, and we wear saris. And every region has their own particular sari, like Tamil Nadu has Kanjivaram, and Banarasi saris in, so silk saris in Orissa, and yeah, so we have those.
Yes, we have a student off camera who's going to speak. Go ahead.
I think one place where I've seen traditional clothes go out of fashion is at weddings, where I see a lot of girls these days want to wear the white gown. It's a little sad. I mean, usually we all wear saris and with all the jewelry, but nowadays a lot of brides, especially in Christian circles, feel that it's too much, and they opt for just a simple white gown.
I think that's just for Christian wedding. For Indian Hindu weddings, we still wear saris, and it's a big thing. We'll decide like a month beforehand what to wear,
a year.
For a long time we'll prepare what to wear, which jewelries to match it with, matching shoes and sandals, and it's a big thing.
Also, to some extent, I find our Indian kurtis and clothes a lot more colorful.
reason we generally tend to wear jeans and kurtas because we live in hostel and it's such a trouble to wash clothes. So it's easier to wear some particular clothes which goes with everything, and that's like easier to wear and wash clothes and maintain. And if we have to wear sari every day with matching blouse and like underskirt, it's really difficult for us to manage it. And that's the reason we shift from traditional clothes to more westernized modern clothes.
Okay, Eric, one last question. Farida, sorry calling you Farida, not Dr. Farida. Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah, which part of Malay culture? Which part of Malay culture are your students most proud of?
Your food, your clothes, your rituals.
Actually, I'm proud of everything of Malay culture because I'm a Malay. I don't proud of any other culture. Okay, but the most is the clothes. Actually, I'm one of from my members. I'm one of the Malay student that likes to wear baju kurung, but unfortunately today I didn't wear it because I expected that I have laboratory work, so I didn't wear my baju kurung. But usually I will wear it. Then at home also, I will always use my baju kurung since I come from a rural area. So in a rural area, we will use our baju kurung at home. Especially during night, and when we are going out to the town. I don't use modern clothes. Okay. Next.
For me,
Would you like to hear my students answer this question?
okay.
I think she was going to say something. She was going to say something.
Please, go ahead.
The girl.
Go ahead.
The girl next to you.
For me, I'm
Yeah, the
also
young
like
lady
to
next to you wants to. Yeah, please.
Get too quiet. For me, I'm also like to wear baju kurung because it's more comfortable, and for Islam religious, it's more coated. We can cover all our aurat. We call aurat. So okay, I like to wear it.
So what part of culture do you like about Malay?
The food. I think most Malaysians are proud of our Malay food because whenever people come to Malaysia, say, oh, have you tried this? Have you tried nasi lemak? Have you tried, different kinds of food? Maybe because we are very proud of the deliciousness of our food,
The food. Yeah, I know.
Okay, would you like to hear my students on this subject, please? Right.
Urvi.
Yeah, so basically to say that we have one Indian culture would be wrong because every one of us has a different set of traditions that we are brought up in. So, but something which is very common is the sense of family that we have here, in the sense that I think it's the same in the Malay culture as well. We stick together through everything, and it's very different from the Western culture in the sense after 18 they have to move out of their home and fend for themselves. Even at 30, if the son is going to come back and tell their family, okay, I don't have money, the parents are going to say, okay, come in and give him money. So that thing is there very strongly in our culture.
Actually, that's becoming more and more the case in America also, especially with the financial troubles. People are living together as an extended family more. So that's one way that the West is becoming more like Asia, I think.
And one more thing, when we said that we have the system of family, our system of family, it might not be like the joint system of family that we had some 20-30 years before, and the nuclear system now we are adopting in our society now. Thing is that even if we are having a nuclear family, when something happens, especially when a married couple move to city and have a nuclear family, when something suddenly happens, Mama, I want to come back suddenly, like as in, it's not like when we see in some West or something that we have to tolerate everything because we moved out and this, we will come back to our family, that all relatives, everyone, something happens, the distant relatives which we have never seen in our life till now will
come, I know.
So like, the system, I mean, what she said is exactly correct. The Indian way of family life, even if it is nuclear or it is joint, it is something that unites us together, even though there will be different views on the system of family we have.
Anybody from among the others off camera, please? Yeah, go on.
Like I said, we have a very large variety of food in our country, and every, I think, 200 kilometers that you travel, you get a new kind of cuisine, and it's really exciting because there's always so much new, like so many new things to discover wherever you go. So I really like that.
I think another thing we're particularly proud of is the culture of celebration that we have. Every single occasion or every story that has a climax, we will have celebrations. While we were discussing this yesterday, we realized that sometimes in our households, even when you reach particular portions of the epics, it is cause for celebration in our households, which is very interestingly linked with food as well, because no celebration is complete without food.
Would you like to join us on this, or any other question from you, Dr. Farida?
No, I think that's quite good in the sense that I think we're all proud of our own cultures. Malaysia being a multicultural country, we not only share similar language for the medium of instruction, but I think we have a melting pot of food as well as costumes. You'll be surprised on Fridays. You find some Chinese girls wearing Malay costumes, and the Malays like to wear the Indian blouse, the long blouse, the kurta. Okay. Yeah, because it covers the whole body as well, and moving in using pants is a lot easier than the Malay baju kurung because it's a sarong, you see. So weddings as well, you will see Chinese going to Malay weddings wearing Malay costumes, and then I think it's a multicultural kind of thing. So food also on the table today is very difficult for us to explain when we have guests. This is Malay food, this is Chinese food. It's a mix of food. We cook vegetables the Chinese way, but we have the curry the Indian way, made Malay because we add more santan or coconut milk, and then we have some food in the Indian style, made less spicy, but the Indians will also cook Malay way of cooking, but they add more spices because they like more curry flavored things. So in a Malaysian home, it's a mix in terms of food. Okay, only thing is that the Muslims make sure that they do not eat pork. The Indians do not eat beef, but they cook lamb or they cook fish just like the Malays or the Chinese. And then what else? And I think celebrations of festivals are the best because we have Indians coming, Chinese coming, and then we have open houses. The open house, do you use that system, that concept, open house? Do you use that in India?
Yeah.
Open house? Yeah, we have open house also during the festivals where we have friends and relatives coming to eat with us on a festive day. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think one thing that's really come out in this conversation is that each of us needs to choose which cultures we are going to live by. And each one of us has to combine elements of different cultures as we craft our own identity in terms of language, in terms of behavior. So it's a constant creative act to create one's identity in this way. So now we're just going to, does anyone have any final closing words about today's session? Now we're beginning to say goodbye, and it was pointed out to me a few minutes before we started that in Indian languages people don't say goodbye. People say come again, see you again. In Tamil people say poittu vanga, go and come.
Be there.
So would anyone else like to say any final words or anything?
One of you, Rituja, would you like to say something before we part?
Something Bengali.
For the Malays,
Bengali.
how do we say goodbye? Okay, there are two ways. We say selamat jalan means have a good journey wherever you're going. But the Muslims, we also say Assalamualaikum, peace with you, peace upon you, you know. So I think it has been something new to them. This is the first time they're doing video conferencing. I think, I hope in the future that we have more time to prepare, have more students to actually understand. I think with these 3 or 5 of them, then they go and tell their friends, hey, next time, you know, video conferencing, we must come. Because they're really shy of technology, I think, yeah. And we have this special lecture room being given to us by the ministry, but I don't think it is used every week, only for certain lectures and so on. So Dr. Eric and Dr. Shresh, thank you so much for giving us a chance to communicate and interact with your students. And I hope that in the future we are able to do it again.
Thank you. On our behalf, this young lady Rituja will thank you. Please, Rituja. She will also use some sentences from Bengali, Rabindranath Tagore's mother tongue. You might like to hear that. Rituja, please, say something appropriate.
In Indian, we don't have the concept of saying goodbye. We generally say that see you again. It was nice to meet you. We'll meet again. So in Bengali, we say abar dakha hobe, which means we'll see you again. And it was a really nice experience, like talking to and knowing a different culture we wouldn't have known otherwise. And it was really fun doing this.
Thank you very much.
I think we'll be more comfortable next time, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
I think it is a lapse of, like Dr. Eric said, that it's a lapse of time. So we are waiting whether, if I jump in and then you want to say something, so there's a little bit. So probably next time we'll have to do a system. I'm going to talk, put up my hand or something because of the time lapse. But any last words from you guys? How do you say goodbye in Malay? Just say then jumpa lagi ke apa ke?
Jumpa lagi.
Okay, can we just wave? Jumpa lagi. 1, 2, 3. Jumpa lagi. Bye.
Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, students, please.
Thank you.
Thanks for your questions.
Very good.
Thank you, Malaysian friends.
Thank you. See you again.
Thank you.
See you again.
Come over to Malaysia.